Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat, in which we will discuss moving expense deduction for active duty military. So it's a deduction, and who qualifies for it? Active duty military personnel. So who qualifies? That's important. Member of the armed forces for unreimbursed moving expenses. And notice here, the expense has to be unreimbursed. It means if the government gives you the money to pay for it, you cannot deduct it. And they are on active duty, and the move is due to a permanent change of station known as PCS. Now, what is a PCS? A PCS could include a move from home to the first active duty assignment, a transfer from one permanent duty station to another, or a move from the final duty station to home or closer point to the US if completed within the required time period after the active duty ends. Now we have to understand this deduction is above the line, and let me show you what I mean by above the line, because seeing it is way better than just saying it's above the line. Notice here, Schedule 1, Part 2, we have on line 14 moving expenses for members of the armed forces, and see Form 3903, which we'll see one at the end of the recording. So notice here, you cannot make a mistake. Moving expenses is no longer applicable to anyone other than members of the armed forces. Then let's assume the deduction was $500. Total expenses were $500, happens to be $500, $500, then $500 is deducted as an adjustment for AGI. So this is a deduction for AGI. This is what we will discuss. It's fairly straightforward topic. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com. You are here because you are serious about mastering taxation. Whether you are taking a tax course, studying for the CPA exam, or enrolled agent, tax feels overwhelming, not because it's impossible, but because it's dense, detailed, and often taught at a pace that doesn't match the way you learn. The rules can feel disconnected, and the logic isn't always explained clearly. At Farhat Lectures, we slow it down. We explain the why behind the rules, break concept into simple steps, and rebuild your understanding from the ground up without assuming any prior knowledge. When explanation matches your learning, everything changes. The confusion fades, the rules start to connect, and tax becomes manageable. If you are ready to understand tax with clarity and confidence, start your free trial at farhatlectures.com, and let's build your tax foundation together. So let's start by discussing government provided services and reimbursement. Those are excluded from income. Service members do not include in income any moving and storage services provided directly by the government. It's for that purpose. Certain housing and relocation allowance. These amounts are not taxable. So when would the reimbursement becomes taxable? Would it becomes taxable under certain circumstances? Yes, it could be. If total reimbursement is greater than the actual cost. Simply put, if they reimbursed you $10,000 and your actual cost was $8,000, then you have $2,000 in difference, and it's reported on Form W-2 as wages. If certain reimbursement exceeds expenses and are not included on Form W-2, the excess must still be reported as income on Form 1040. Now let's talk about moving household goods and personal effects. Service member may deduct expenses related to transporting household goods and personal belonging, packing, crating and hauling, storage and insurance during transit. Now let's talk about storage limitation. Storage costs are limited to the period of the move, so you cannot have the things stayed in the storage and get a deduction. So deduction applies to storage occurring shortly after the move and before the delivery to the new residence. What's not deductible? Item purchased during the move. If you purchase any items, that's not deductible. And property unrelated to household goods. So it has to be household goods. How about when you're traveling? Travel expenses and foreign move. What's deductible during travels? Members may deduct travel from the old residence to the new one, including transportation either by car or airfare, Lodging during travel, your hotel, if you have to stop on the way, you're moving from, Vermont to California, you might stop on the way. What's not deductible? Meals, because you have to eat anyway. They're not going to give you a deduction for that. Personal side trips, that's for you. Excessive lodging costs. If you stayed in a 5-star hotel, they are not going to compensate you for that. How about using your car, your vehicle expense? Well, it could be deducted either using the actual out-of-pocket cost, means you have to keep track of the oil, gas, and all that, or the standard move and mileage rate, which is much easier to go with that. There are special rules for foreign moves. For moves outside the US, additional cost may qualify, additional storage cost. It might be deductible for an extended period while stationed abroad. So that's fine. It doesn't have to be a move. So you have to move your stuff, put it in a storage, and be deployed overseas. That storage is deductible. So the key takeaways: foreign assignments allow broader storage deduction than domestic moves, because you may not have a place. If you're renting and you got deployed, you'll have to move all your stuff into a storage. During that period, while you are deployed overseas, you can have that deduction. So let's take a look at Form 3903, and this is where you would report your moving expenses. We have step 1, enter the actual eligible moving expense, goes from line 1 through line 3. So line 1, transportation and storage, travel, including lodging from your old home. So let's assume you add line 1 and line 2, and it happens to be $10,000. Now you don't include, you would exclude any moving or storage provided directly by the government, because you're not paying for it. You're only looking for your actual expenses, or any expense reimbursed by a non-taxable allowance. If they paid, again, if they're giving you the money, you cannot take the deduction. So we're excluding those. Only unreimbursed qualifying expenses are included there. Step 2, you would report any reimbursement. On line 4, enter the total amount the government paid you for the expense listed on line 1 and 2 that is not included in box 1 of your Form W-2. This amount should be shown in box 12 of your W-2 with code P. And let's assume they paid you $7,000. Now, do not include here any government provided moving or storage services, and do not include certain non-taxable allowance, because those are what they paid you directly for the expenses here. Do not include government provided move and storage services, because it's government provided and certain non-taxable allowance. Determine deduction or income exclusion. Here you have to determine whether you can take a deduction or you have income to include. If total expenses exceeds reimbursement, the difference is a move and expense. And here we have $3,000. The expenses exceeds the reimbursement. You pay $10,000 for qualifying, they reimburse you with $7,000. Or if the reimbursement exceeds expenses, let's assume they paid you $12,000, reimburse you for $12,000, you have a $2,000 you have to report on your Form 1040 as additional income. So the key principle: deduct the portion of qualified expenses not covered by non-taxable reimbursement. What should you do now? If you are an EA enrolled agent, CPA exam candidate, or an accounting student, go to Farhat Lectures for additional resources, lessons, podcasts, AI resources. The best investment you can make. Invest in yourself. God bless.